You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
All right, we're ready for another edition of the Hemp Connoisseur Radio here at iCannabisRadio.com. I got three special guests with me today. As always, I'm David here. I have Chris Jetter, Norm, and Rick. I don't know.
Mark Rice.
Mark Rice. Why did I say Rick?
Chris
Rice. So, you know, we have an esteemed group of guys here today. These are three champions of BongaThon, and also Chris, you guys all work on organizing it now as well.
Well, pretty much everybody in the room does. Mark gets roped in no matter what. Being a five-time champion and having at least five second place finishes, he gets tied into everything. We just drag him along.
Right on. So can we get a little history of BongaThon? I know a lot of people in Colorado know about it, but might not know how it started and how long it's been going on.
Let's talk about our history first.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go with the one who's been to the BongaThon the most in this room. Mr. Rice, when did you first get introduced to the event?
Oh, God. I was introduced probably sometime around 1986. I didn't get my first ticket until 1989.
Whoa.
Wow.
So
you were
just like everybody else. You'd heard about it, but you couldn't
toyed along many times. Oh, you want to go to this, but just wasn't invited.
Right. Well, it's an exclusive invite. It was up to this point an exclusive invite-only event,
It
correct?
still is, and don't get us wrong. I mean, you know, it's just like now we talk about it. We opened it up a little bit more on the Facebook and stuff now, but really we deem it a tradecation. You know, we want people that are tied into the industry and that know people and that want to go to this event to come to it. And so the fact that we've opened it up a little bit more this year because of legalization, recreational, you know, where before even under medical, you know, when we were handing out invitations, we tell people, don't talk about it on Facebook, you know, don't put it in magazines and stuff like that. And so we tried to keep it pretty, you know, inclusive in that regard.
Right.
So, you know, the party started in 73. Mark got introduced in, 86? You made your first party win?
1989.
1989. Did you win that year?
No.
No. Did you compete?
I didn't even get entered. The guy who I put my money down with blew me off and didn't get the money down in time. Back in the day, if you didn't get your money down in time, there were so many people that wanted to enter this competition, they would actually do a drawing and pull cards or numbers or whatever they had to do to decide who was,
well, you got to understand, it was the just say no era, okay? I mean, you would go to prison, seed stems, whatever, and I know a lot of people from back in the day were showing up to the BongaThon just to be able to score a sack of weed or find someone with a sack of weed. So, like, just that in general drove the party.
So now you guys are saying, you know, we've already talked. You're champions. It's a competition. What exactly does competition entail? Because I think a lot of people, when we say competition nowadays, we're talking about, you're talking about
Breeders' Cups,
or the Hemp Connoisseur Championship that we're doing in the fall and all that. But that's not what it is.
No, this is competitive toking at its finest. In 1973, Steve Schroer, university CU Boulder graduate and biker, started the BongaThon, and it was him and a bunch of his friends decided they kind of were gonna sidestep this whole alcohol thing and go do a private party to see who could smoke the most weed the fastest, essentially.
It started out in their apartment up in Boulder with just a couple dudes arguing over, I could smoke my weed faster.
No, I can smoke it faster than you can.
And so it's
I'm pretty sure I can smoke faster than you.
No, I bet you I can smoke it faster than you can.
Right, it is. So now I'm assuming there's a couple of different variances of the competition. There's a speed smoke, right?
Well, this is the thing. The party started in 73. Those guys started getting serious about it. Up through the 8th annual, it was loosely based. The guys started the party, they facilitated the party, and then they decided at some point that they needed to sell tickets to the thing because it was getting too big.
Right.
And the people that were buying the tickets were basically paying for everybody else to have a party, is how really what they did.
Right.
And so they facilitated it that way. And then, of course, every time they'd have a contest of who could win BongaThon. And it was always a set amount. You know, back then, you're probably talking about lids. Huh? Yeah, you know, like I mean a lid of weed, you know, and so
almost 30 grams.
Swag.
Straight swag.
It was great weed.
Right.
We've all come a long way in this state, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So I'm assuming you had to smoke a lot more I mean, with the swag that you were doing to get to what I mean, because part of it is there's also, my understanding is there's one that you smoke and whoever's the last man standing.
No, that's not us. In fact, I'll
that was the original.
That was the original.
Yeah, is that what it was?
was.
Day one?
Yeah.
That was their original.
Okay.
Whoever
It took
finished
hours
their
to get
ounce.
done.
It took
Okay,
hours,
that
I would
was-
imagine,
well,
yeah.
People would wake
Actually,
back
weekend.
up and smoke and then pass out.
Yeah,
wake-
Right.
it took a weekend. Whoever finished their ounce first that weekend.
So it was the first to finish their ounce.
Yes.
Wow.
So Mark, when you got in 89, okay, you didn't compete the first year.
Nope.
You came back in 90.
Yeah.
Did you compete?
Yeah, not so great.
No.
But
No?
yeah.
And
I
when-
decided to do a little bit of mind-altering drugs.
Oh, you
on top of
supplemented.
that,
You supplemented.
There was a place right across. This was at Buffalo Creek. There's a place right across there called Acid Rock. And I decided I would climb Acid Rock and then come back and compete afterwards. Basically, they drugged me up to the pit, dropped me. The pit is where you do the
Have the ball,
competition. And dropped me off and let that proceed. I finished, but
Not in a good state of mind.
no,
Not
I knew
coherently.
nothing of what went
So
on.
when was your first champion?
The second time.
The second time?
91.
1990.
1990.
90, huh?
Okay.
Okay, and then so
Or 91, I take that back. 90,
91.
we didn't
91.
finish.
Okay.
1991.
And then I know how many consecutives did you have from 91?
91, 92, 93.
93.
Wow.
What happened 94?
I don't know what happened, Chris.
Now, I
We had a break for 94 and 95, 96, 94.
94.
The guys who were in the committee, because in 91, let's back up. In 1991, there was a 20-minute break while the police were there right in the middle of the competition. We had to wait for the sheriff department to leave so that we could finish the competition. Once they left, we finished the competition. So it took about 45 minutes all in all with a 20-minute delay.
So is there like an asterisk next to the winners of that year? Just, hey, by the way.
No, but Russ, I've got a video of this for you.
Uh-huh.
Russ actually mentions it on stage when he's handing out trophies that there was a 20-minute delay waiting for the police to leave. Then 92, 93, 94, 95, after a couple of years of dealing with the police, the guys who did it got tired of dealing with the police and wanted just to get out.
Right.
So they took a year off. That was
that
the first.
That was 94.
Yeah, that was the year they went out. And I actually went around, me and a friend of mine who got me into this, and hit up the committee members and said, you can't stop this thing, man.
Right.
This is the greatest party in the world. So we need to keep this going. So they brought it back with some inclusions. They said, okay, no more children. Back in the day, you could bring dogs, you could
your
bring
infant baby
motorcycles,
with
you
you
could
if
bring
you
your
wanted.
child
Oh,
up there.
okay. Well, maybe a good idea.
It was
Maybe a good call.
No, you
It was
know,
a
it was
hippy-dippy
basically,
thing.
you have
Right,
to go
right.
back to the 60s to
I get
think
it. It was a
about
hippy-dippy
it.
thing.
Was a family-oriented event with a bunch of hippies, okay?
Was
And
anybody ever
bikers.
born at BongaThon, by the way?
Boy, you know, we would have to look into that.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
We're working this year, hopefully, to get our
We were
first
planning
wedding.
conceived.
Because my wife is actually an ordained minister, so we're going to try to get some
get a wedding
marriages
going.
going. But
We're
So
close
we
enough
had a year
to
off.
get one out there.
then Chris came, and we had a nice little competition. Chris pulled off about 25, 30 seconds. I think he beat me by.
Well, I tell you what, 95 was the first year I had ever experienced BongaThon. And for me, it was one of those things. It was the myth. It was the legend. You know, I had started my bong company in 92.
Right.
I ended up putting bongs in 48 states and 225 stores. In 95, one of my friends who had a head shop in town said, "Hey, man, guess what I got?" And I was like, "What do you got?" He's like, "I got tickets to the BongaThon." This guy named Matt Bear, Cloud9, by the way. And I was
Shout
like,
out.
"No, you do not." Like, because that, you know, I mean, I'd heard about it for years. My uncle was a big stoner. He had told us about it.
Right.
We always thought it was a bullshit.
Right, it's like this
fucking
mythical
lie.
party,
Like,
right.
bullshit, dude. So I rushed down there and I got my tickets, and sure shit, you know, a physical ticket, laminated, BongaThon, Bat Productions, you know, and I was ecstatic.
And that
Of
was
course,
the 21st, right?
that was, yeah, the 21st. That's correct. That would have been in 95. And so I had my bond company, which now is about 3 years old, and we were doing pretty good sales. We were a graphics bite, basically, you know, Jetter bongs. We were casting in Coke cans. And plastic,
Soup cans,
yeah,
Coke cans.
acrylic tubing, you know what I mean? And being very successful at it. So when I got my ticket, I was ecstatic, man. I'm going to the BongaThon. I'm bringing my bongs. I am going to have a great fucking time. And so I showed up in my 63 No, I think that year I was actually I was in my Buick Hearse, my 63
Mm-hmm.
Buick
You
Hearse.
were in the hearse,
Yeah,
bro.
I got a 63 Buick Hearse, and it's
Right
gray.
into the fire pit.
Yeah, and it was black tinted windows, and I rolled up into the BongaThon, and of course I broke out my tables, and I had my own bong company, and I was 21, 22, you know what I mean? Like right out of high school, just living the life, right?
Competing with graphics.
Yeah, exactly. And so I roll up in there, and I remember, what was your buddy's name?
Jeff Queen.
Queen. God, that guy. He was in there talking shit all night, and I had a friend with me, Chris Everard, who's just a shit talking punk motherfucker, and other than that, had no redeeming qualities, you know. And
those are redeeming qualities.
Exactly. So between these two guys. They're talking shit at each other about who's going to win BongaThon, because Mark has won 2 consecutive at this point. He is the reigning champion, and this guy knows that he's got the ace, and this is the first time we've ever been to BongaThon.
Right.
And Chris Everard's like, nah, dude, my boy's going to crush you guys tomorrow. He's going to win. I guarantee it.
So the pressure's on
dude,
now.
the pressure was on not only, but they started betting money on it, and all of a sudden they had like this huge bet on it. So it was amazing. I was like, okay. So we partied Friday night. We had a great fucking time.
Yes, we did.
Got up Saturday morning, and I'll never forget it, man. I got up, I ate breakfast, pounded, a pound of bacon and some pancakes, and I slammed down my fresh Coca-Cola of the day, and, man, I knew I was ready to smoke some motherfucking pot. And I don't even think I did, but maybe a couple bong hits before we actually did competition that day. And I'll never forget the tubes. They were made by a guy named Ghost. They were these acrylic tubes that were, all glued together. The holes were cut out. The holes were kind of glued up, and they were the little metal peanut bowls that they had back then. It looked like
with
lamp
a fucking
parts.
Carburetor, bro.
Yeah, with the carburetor. That's right, exactly. With the carburetor on the backside.
So you're all smoking out of the same, like a
Yeah.
sanctioned
it's
bong
always
for
exactly
BongaThon.
Always a sanctioned bong.
It's always
Yeah,
the same.
always the same
Gotcha.
bong.
It's the only way to make
And
it a
by
real
this time,
competition.
this is the 21st. The competition has pretty well been defined. Like, we're giving you a certain amount of weed, and whoever smokes it first wins, So that year was 10 grams, and it was 10 grams of good pot. I don't even know who got it, where it came from, or how it got there, but it was actually some decent pot. And I crushed that in 17 minutes and 40 seconds.
Wow.
And Mr. Rice was right behind me. Not even 30 seconds, I'm sure. And I think that was his first second place finish.
So it was.
And
I bet you were so mad.
Actually, no.
You're is what it was.
Well, you're high, so you can't be that mad.
No,
really.
and really, when you're in that, it's such a. You're not happy that you lost.
All right.
But finishing that competition is an amazing feat.
In
Coming in
itself.
first,
It's
second, and
crazy
third
emotional.
is massive. So
Right.
just being in the
That's
top,
crazy
you're
emotion.
Crazy
happy. You get to
emotional.
get on stage and get your trophy. That's all
Right.
that counts, man.
Right.
You're the man for the weekend. So.
That's cool.
of course, my shit talking buddy, of course, just started talking mad shit for the rest of that day. You know what I mean? And I remember we got that hailstorm that day.
That was a bad weekend, man.
I mean, it came down with the
Wash.
bikers. The High Plains drifters were still running it, and they ended up having.
They ran it till the 23rd
Yeah, exactly.
at Safari Ranch Resort.
And it was a hardcore biker party. Like, I mean, it was an underground illicit drug biker party.
Oh yeah.
It
That's
started
it.
out of this hippie thing in the 70s,
Right.
and evolved into this like biker thing in the 80s.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there was a
Bikers and
hiatus,
security.
right? What was it, 10-year hiatus?
Well,
or?
what happened is we haven't quite gotten there.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. A lot of history.
Yeah, you're
Well,
a little
I'm
ahead
pretty
of the
sure
curve.
we have to go on a break. In 2 minutes. All right, we
Okay.
got 2 more minutes of history, and then we got to go on a break and come back to it.
Of course, we ended up blowing out of there late Saturday night, and we went and partied up in Breckenridge. I went and had a nice fat steak dinner. I remember that. I was on cloud nine.
Right.
I'd gone to the BongaThon my first time ever, and I was bringing home the trophy. And I remember rolling home Sunday and rolling up in the driveway, and my dad's out there working on his whips. He's got a bunch of classic cars he's working on. And I roll out, and I got the trophy in my hand. I'm like, I won the BongaThon, and my dad's just like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
He's sitting there like, I'm so proud.
So the next year, let's see, 95, that would have been 95, 96.
22nd.
22nd, Safari Ranch Resort. That would have been your first event.
No, I was the first one. It was 23rd.
Oh, so 23rd.
And I entered that hookah competition the first year.
That was 96 was the first year I took off.
Well, and this is the
I
thing.
took a year off and just sat back and watched everybody.
Okay, 95, I won again. Okay, I took my second trophy that year, and it took me over. It was like almost an ounce of swag. I think it was an ounce of swag, and it took me over 38 minutes. In fact, Russ Marsh, who was running the party at the time, came up last year and handed me the original plate that he scribbled everybody's name down on and the time with me circled as a winner, and it was like over 38 minutes.
38 minutes to do an ounce, though.
Dude.
I mean, I get it, swag and all, but that's still, I mean...
I thought I was going to die when I was done with that competition.
Your lungs are killing you, man.
Yeah, I would think so.
Oh, your throat is burning. It's fire. It's fire.
Right.
So really, all they do is smoke. That you actually have a partner. So that other partner loads it for you, cleans it for you, lights it for you.
Yeah, so the competition...
It's like your pit boss guy.
Yeah, it's very
you know,
strict.
it's
Like, on the individual competition, we're very strict about, like, you have to smoke it this way. They have to be clean snaps. You can't poke them down. I mean, this is a prestigious event that's got, like, 40 years riding on it. This is the one. You know what I mean? And so after that year, 95... I started wanting to get involved with the actual parapet. I had a bong company. I was like, hey, man, I want to put my bongs in the bar.
Because you made the first glass bongs for the competition, and that's when I competed against you.
And that would have been actually 97, because I think 96 I competed again, and I lost. And guess who I lost to? You, Mr. Rice?
No, 96 I took off.
So
97 and 98. 97 you lost to me.
97 I lost.
Okay,
to
well,
Rice.
we gotta go on a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with the Legends of BongaThon at the Hemp Connoisseur Radio. Thanks for joining us. River Rock Wellness, located at 4935 York Street and on the corner of 6th and Calumet, right next to Lamar's Donuts at 990 West 6th Avenue, offers in-house, award-winning organic medical cannabis flowers, concentrates, tinctures, topicals, edibles, and raw superfoods for all patients. Prices range from $160 to $240 an ounce, with member and non-member benefits including caregiver, SSI, SSDI, vets, travelers, and sponsored programs. With brands you trust like Healthy Creations, Rare Dankness, Rock Butter, Priva, Token Daily, and more. Become a River Rock patient or renew with us today and receive a $100 ounce of choice. Offer good through April 20th, 2013.
The law offices of Edson, Maiden, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
The chocolatiers at Incredibles are dedicated to crafting the finest chocolate from high-quality ingredients to ensure the greatest possible medicated edibles in the world. Consistency and quality are top priority. Lab testing on each and every batch. Rick and Josh have been making non-medicated chocolates for years for such retail outlets as Whole Foods and Vitamin Cottage. Today, we are focused on crafting our award-winning medicated incredible chocolate bars. We are professional bakers, and we believe food should be made from scratch. We guarantee your satisfaction. Have an incredible day.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
All right, we're back at the Hemp Connoisseur Radio. I got 3 Legends of BongaThon. Man, we're having a good time here today. I'm learning a lot about the history of BongaThon, which I had no idea it had such a storied past, honestly, because I had just heard about it for the first time, I think, 2-3 years ago, and I didn't know it was going on since.
BongaThon.
Yeah, this is the New Age BongaThon, but I think we stopped right around 96. Yeah, I mean, we're literally doing the entire history of BongaThon in just a short period of time here, but it's
cramming 20, 30 years into an hour.
Into an hour.
96, let's see, we came up, we started organizing more the paraphernalia end of it, and I think it was 97 that we actually introduced the hookah competition.
Yep, that was 23rd annual, and that was the first year I went.
Now that's a group competition.
Yeah, so what the thought was, I, being the bond company and wanting more involvement, I thought that the individual competition was awesome. but kind of like you know, my gear started to turn into like, what else could we do?
Exactly.
Like, there's a lot of things, right?
I know. I was like, you need to do a relay, a medley relay, where you have a dabber, a joint, a bong, a bowl, and
so we went ahead and did a hookah competition in '97, and basically it was 5 guys on your hookah team.
It was 5 smokers and a loader.
Yeah,
and the girl that was lighting for us had blisters the size of my thumbnails on both of her thumbs.
Just from lighting the lighters. Yeah, and so that year it was same as usual. It was an ounce competition. I remember the bowls were metal flower bowls, like the old school Bell like lamp heart bowls, and they were acrylic tubes, and we had vinyl stuck to them, and I think we had the dudes from. The Fabulous Freak Brothers were on the sticker or something. We incorporated them in it somehow, which is an old ass cartoon,
Right.
If you know anything about those guys.
High time.
So yeah, and then we did that, and then '98, you took second.
Yeah, behind Mark in the singles.
In '97.
In the 23rd, I took second in the hookah.
Okay, so that would have been '97, and then '98 you competed in singles, correct?
Yep, took second in singles.
And you took second in singles that year.
Yeah, and what was really funny is Jetter kept walking by me, and I thought, because I was so high, I thought he was telling me, dude, you're sucking at this. I don't even know why you got in this. He was telling me, whoa, dude, you're sucking that shit down.
Dude, you're sucking it down.
So I just started smoking faster and faster.
Burn it. He was kicking ass. I was like, dude, you might have this issue.
It was close that year, too. And then next year it got busted.
Yeah, well, let's talk about 1999, because 1999 was crazy. Incidentally, 1999 was the 25th annual. It was the Silver Classic, and the committee members from 95, 96 had basically retired and had handed it over to Chris Lopez, who had reorganized the committee to do 98 and 99. In '98, they moved the party to a place up near Red Feathers Lake. And the location wasn't bad, but, I mean, when you looked out across the landscape, you could see a house, the fuck over there.
Right.
You could see a house, over there. And it was a distance. But still, when you have a party that was now approaching, we easily were like 1,700 people, at this event, it was gaining momentum, and people wanted to be there.
The one that got busted, we had sold 2,500 tickets that year.
Wow.
And so they pulled that party off successfully in '98. We did the BongaThon up there in Red Feathers. We didn't have any issues up there. And, typically at BongaThon, there's always a cop out at the fucking gate. I mean, the sheriff was always on site, like they'd roll up. It was a private party, so they couldn't come in. They wouldn't have a search warrant. We'd be very, staff would always be cordial with them, tell them, hey, if you got your credentials, you can come in. If you don't, sorry, you're going to have to stay out, etc. And the party went down. And so those guys, they were bikers, man. They weren't scared, man.
Right,
they didn't care. You know what I mean? So when the shitters went back on the property in '99, the Silver Classic, the neighbors tried to file an intervention. And when they did with the judge in Larimer County, the judge said no, they've filed their permits, the sanitary conditions are met, they're having a private party, and we cannot issue a search warrant. So somebody got a wild hair up their ass, and we don't know exactly how it happened. There's conflicting stories on how said detectives got into the party. But their official story is that they went to the gate and they purchased BongaThon tickets and were given entry. Well, that's a huge no-no in BongaThon, especially then. Like, you didn't sell any tickets at the gate.
Right,
it was a private party. You got it down in town somewhere, and you showed up to the party, and that's how you got in.
Right.
And you
So
didn't have your name on the list.
yeah,
Everything
exactly.
was
I mean, the
accounted
list,
for.
it's counted
Extremely.
for, the whole 9 yards. So, the odds of that actually happening were fairly slim. Although Chris Lopez was under new management, he did have one successful under his belt for that year, and it was kind of new for him,
Right.
So it's hard to say exactly what happened. My thought is that, look, we're up on private property up there. You're talking the barrier between property and detective is one barbed wire fence. You know what I mean? And so I think they just infiltrated the party because, in fact, sitting in my camp that night, okay? I'll never forget it. We brought up 5 gallons of mushroom Kool-Aid, man. We ran that shit through the coffee maker, and we had a bunch of it.
Yep.
And we were going to get fucked up. And so Friday night, we didn't distribute any Kool-Aid because we were saving it for Saturday. And I think there's a sample or two that may have gone out.
Oh, sure. Somebody had to test the Kool-Aid.
That's about it. You know, the 4.5 gallons or so were pretty intact.
Right.
And I remember walking out of my camp, and this one girl, Lori, who was a Motormouth chick, was sitting with these 2 guys wearing flannels. And I remember glancing at them thinking, hey, wow, I've never seen these guys before, you know, which is not terribly unusual at BongaThon because you did meet people you didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, it happened.
Staters all the time.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. So
they just looked a little out of place.
It just seemed a little odd to me, and I'll never forget her, Lori, sitting there having an in-depth conversation with them about how BongaThon started and why it was. And I kind of, as I'm walking by, I'm kind of thinking, well, if they've been to BongaThon, they know what BongaThon's about. Like, what's the mystery? You know what I mean? And I never really thought too much more about it. And, of course, Friday night with that party, that was a goddamn raging party. I tell you what, for a Friday night, that was one of the best Friday nights we've ever had at BongaThon.
The Implement Snops was a highlight of that party.
John had been putting this brown hash and this keef and this bottle of peppermint schnapps for like months, 6, 7 months. And you'd do a shot, he'd shake it up, pour you out a shot, you'd do a shot, and man, you'd spill out of his...
It had so much THC in it, it looked like the crystals in Goldschlager.
Oh, it was amazing.
It was crazy looking.
And you'd spill out of his trailer, man, after doing a couple of those shots. And so
$10 a shot, too.
Friday night we raged, and I had my hearse up there again that year. I know that because I was sleeping in the back of it. And I'll never forget the girl I'm with, she's like, it was like almost 8 o'clock. It was like 7:30, almost 8 o'clock in the morning.
We had that huge U-Haul that I rented, and we had all our products in there, all our bongs and everything that we'd made.
Everything we'd brought up for the camp. And we were in the center of the camp. Yeah, we were right kind of in the very middle of the camp, right?
Like a 12-foot bong set up right in the middle of our camp.
Centerpiece of the camp.
Yeah.
It
was crazy.
I always hang by the stage.
The bar was center stage.
And my this girl Jennifer that I'm there with, she's like, hey, you know, the cops are here. She wakes me up. She's like, cops are here. And, you know, the sheriffs are always there. The cops are always here. You know, it's not a big deal. And she's like, no, the cops are here. And I could hear it in her voice.
Right.
And I was like, whoa. So I kind of popped in my contacts and I opened up the back of the hearse. And as I'm looking up on the hill, I'm seeing SWAT squads kicking in the doors of all the RVs that are up on the hill, one by one. They're cracking them. And they're going to the next one. And they're cracking it. And they're going to the next one. And by this time, you realize... the jig's up, man. This party's over, and the cops are fucking here, right? And so you start scrambling to pick up, you know, all your shit.
Right,
you know?
right.
It's 5 minutes to pack it up.
Well, I swear, I no more than got out of the car. I, you know, just threw a pair of shorts on or whatever, got my T-shirt, I got out of the car with my shoes on, and as I'm walking down the hill towards the truck, the U-Haul that we brought up, there is a rank and file of cops, 3 deep, with riot gear, tear gas,
marching,
rolling right to my camp. And I am just standing there like jaw open, like, shit, the cops are here. And
there was ninja suits rolling up to the U-Haul. As I was rolling up in there to stash a pound of swag, got it stashed, wrapped up in an inflatable rubber chair in my hands, and the cop said freeze, so I just dropped the chair in front of me, turned around, and he came in, had a search dog. The dog stood all over that rubber chair, never found that damn pound of weed.
Well, this is the thing you got to understand about the search dogs, okay? When they got on the property, dude...
There was so
much
drugs.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Not only does
lit.
everybody got drugs, but everybody's now ditching said drugs.
Oh, man.
I guarantee you could go into any one of the shitters.
They were
you could go
overflowing.
from elbow
all
to
the
the
way
tip
up.
of your finger in baggies of
Overflowing,
drugs before
overflowing.
you ever got to
There were toilets you
water,
couldn't
piss,
even
whatever.
put shit in because they were so full.
Dude, rocks, bushes,
Right.
everywhere. So
Holes
the
in the
dogs,
ground.
The dogs are confused.
Well,
They're
sure.
like, it's everywhere. Is
fucking
it the
hate
grill?
that.
They're spinning around.
He throws a pound of swag in the campfire, and it's just.
Dude, I literally got in my car and drove from one campfire that we were in and did a steady little exit to the next campfire over and pulled out a pound of swag and threw it in the campfire and watched it burn. And then I proceeded to go back to my camp to deal with whatever the hell we had to deal with. And they were searching every other vehicle on the way out.
And you threw that quarter-pound of chronic for the
I
competition.
couldn't burn
into
the chronic, man. I
He threw it in
just
the
couldn't do
firewood
it.
pile. In the
Can't
dry
say
firewood
pile.
That's the way I was. We dumped the coke.
Yeah, we dumped
We
on the
cocaine.
way.
I wouldn't dump my weed. I had to take that, man.
Dude,
You know, I'm sorry, man. I said
dumping
that was
on
the
the
only
way
good
out.
shit I had, man.
Right.
We were so pissed.
So it got dramatic, and it
Sorry.
got dramatic
No.
fast. And then they had a process. I mean, they had equestrians up there. They had snipers. They had brought in they had over.
This wasn't funny.
They had 300 individuals from all different counties in Colorado, including campus police from DU.
No,
Volunteer firemen were out there.
Do no bullshit.
They
And
set
rolled up
up-
on us like we were a full-on riot in the middle of the mountains.
And they
Wow.
had been up there for a while because while I was sitting there during the night, some guy come up and said wanted to know if I wanted to look through his night goggles, and I did. And I was looking up on the ridge, and I'm like, who are all those people up there? I didn't even realize it at the time.
Wow.
But they were lined up all the way across the ridge. I had
That was
no
quite
idea.
a setup. that's
Wow.
for sure.
Well, we have to go on a break, and we'll be back to continue the BongaThon saga, right, when we get back.
Back to better
Thanks for
things.
listening to Hemp Connoisseur Radio.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding, Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
The National Cannabis Industry Association would like to thank its members who represent the leading professional businesses in America's emerging legal cannabis market. NCIA is the only organization that has unified legitimate cannabis business across the nation to fight for real reform in Washington, D.C. For more information or to make your business a member, visit us online at thecannabisindustry.org.
All right, we are back at the Hemp Connoisseur Radio with three legends of BongaThon, kind of swapping some war stories here. We have Mark, Jetter, and Norm here. So we just finished kind of talking a little bit about BongaThon 99, which was the 25th year.
The silver anniversary Bustathon.
Silver anniversary Bustathon. And, during the break, one of the things you were saying is, okay, so now you guys had to file out. They just said you had 15 minutes to break down and get that out.
They told
right?
everybody, they were on megaphones basically saying, this is an unauthorized party. You need to leave the property right now. I mean, they were making it very clear, right? So they said like 2 checkpoints on the way out, okay? Because there was only 2 exit points out of the property with the fences. And on those 2 checkpoints, they were searching every other vehicle on the way out. Mm-hmm. They had a booking station, and they had, they'd brought up everything they needed, plenty of shackles, lots of zip ties, the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean? And in fact, Norm was marched up the hill by a detective. And what conversation did you have with that officer?
Oh, he was like, do you need to, this is a big-ass cop, bigger than me. He goes, do you need to stop and take a break? We're walking up this hill. And I was like, I don't need no damn break. I'm a BongaThon champion, man. He goes, what? I told him, yeah. I told him how long it took us to smoke that quarter the year before. They twisted that around and said that I smoked 8 quarters of weed in 20 minutes or some bullshit.
Physically impossible.
Yeah,
But yeah, okay.
so.
And that's when you had that sack of weed hanging out of
Yeah,
your
I was
pant
wearing
leg.
those snap-up Nike pants that have snaps on the side.
Right.
And they didn't have me in handcuffs, but a friend of Jetter's was standing beside me, and they were in handcuffs. And all of a sudden, we're at a card table where they're processing me, give me a ticket. And I feel this dude's foot rubbing on the side of my leg. And I look down nonchalantly as I'm talking to this cop, and I see my 1/4 ounce of weed hanging out the side of the snap on my leg, and his buddy's trying to push it back in there with his foot so they don't see him. I just bend over while I'm giving them my info and shove this thing right down in my sock, and they gave me a ticket, let me on my way. And
well, and it was crazy because they that was like at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. By like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Norm and I were still there. Okay,
So were we.
And were you guys there?
Oh,
Yes,
God, yeah.
we were like the last.
I gotta say, and the cops were finally finishing up with everybody, and the one cop asked us why we hadn't left, and Norm informed him that we were part of the trash crew and that we needed to stay there and clean up the fucking
that's
trash.
how we got our
It's our
tickets,
job,
and we didn't want to
man.
get in trouble.
Right.
And so
They were searching his Hearst at that moment.
He reluctantly agreed and gave Norm went over, picked up a trash bag, and I think the first thing he picked up was that 1/4 bag of Chronic. That that's what I'm saying, 1/4 pound of Chronic.
And the firewood.
Jammed it in the bag,
And
you
just
know?
smiled at the cops.
And so from that point, I remember as everybody left, there was one sheriff left, and there was the volunteer fire department.
Oh, but wait, remember we walked off with that trash bag and was looking at the ground, and all of a sudden you just start seeing 8s of mushrooms laying everywhere. So we just start picking up bags of mushrooms, and we're picking up trash. And I mean, everything we're throwing in the bag is drugs.
Right.
Like
Like everything.
So we're out there, and the fire department is there. They're putting out like all the campfires,
Right.
okay. And then there's this one sheriff left, okay. And he's about 200 yards away, and I can see he's eyeballing me and Norm, okay. And he's got his goggles, his
Right.
binoculars, and he's looking at us. So I grabbed a bottle of rum that we'd picked up, somewhere, and I just started hitting it. I handed it back to Norm. I was like, go ahead and hit this. I was like, that sheriff's watching us. Fucking hit this. He hits it, and that sheriff rolls over, and he's like, I thought I told you to vacate these premises, da-da-da-da-da. And we just looked at him, we were like, we've been drinking all night, man. You want me to get in a car and drive out of here?
Right.
And he's like, no, I don't want you to drive. But you need to pick up all your stuff and go on the other side of that property line. Okay. So we did. We moved over to that side of the property line, and within a half an hour, sheriff was gone. His day was gone. It was
Right.
over. And we had about 4 or 5 hours of sunlight left. And so we get back out there with the trash bags, and I mean, we're pulling drugs out of every hole.
Right.
We're finding money. We're finding
Wads
alcohol.
of cash. I mean,
it was
everything.
amazing what you were finding. The ground scores were immense, and so we're out there, and I'll never forget it. I walk into this one shitter. Okay,
They should rate us every year.
Yeah, check this out.
It's like a little squirrel.
I walk into this one shitter, and I'll never forget it. I hit the door, and when I walked in, you couldn't smell any shit at all. It was
Right.
nothing but dank. I mean, there was some fire in this thing, right? And I'm looking down in there, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's down there somewhere. I'm not going to get after it, right? So I turn around, and I walk outside, and I said, Norm. And he's standing out there picking up some stuff off the ground. And, Norm, come here. What? I was like, come here, go in that shitter. And he's like, what do you want me to go in there for? Go in there, dude. So he goes in there, and of course his nose smells it instantly. And it was like a cartoon, man. I see the shitter shake this way, and I see the shitter shake this way. I see the shitter shake, and all of a sudden the door kicks open, bam! And he's got this sack of weed and a 3-foot bong, and he's like, I found it.
It was stuffed in the corner up with the
That's
toilet
hysterical.
paper.
Gives porta potty a whole new meaning, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Somebody had stuffed it in behind the vent
bottom.
that goes up,
Yeah.
and you couldn't see it. But I tell you what, to this day, that was some of the dankest weed
Purplest,
I have
dankest weed
ever
ever.
seen in my life.
But what was
man.
funny is there was a bong like this tall. He didn't even see the bong, and it shoved right
3-footer.
in the corner behind the
Graphic
vent.
style.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So after that, we're back out there. The fire department finally starts questioning us. Like, they wanted to know what we were picking up. And we told one of the fire department guys, like, look around, dude. And all of a sudden, the fire department was involved.
All the
Picking up
volunteers.
we'll
as
help
much
pick this
trash
up.
as
Yeah,
we were.
we
You
know.
know what I mean?
I mean, these are volunteer fire departments.
Yeah,
So
they're
they're like,
volunteers,
hey,
absolutely.
There's a reason why they volunteered for that job.
That's right. They need to be tipped too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But,
Wow.
that particular year, I made the trophies for the party. The first place trophy never got distributed. We never had a competition on Saturday, obviously, because of the best on Saturday. And basically what happened, man, is, nobody... That party from there got investigated by Larimer County, okay? And they went in deep, and they sent a team down, and they talked to everybody that got any skin on it, okay? And they ended up cracking in like 8 doors, including mine.
And
Okay.
mine.
Yeah, and Norm's.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we had the bong company then at the time in this house that was off of 14th and Havana. And we never, ever slept in the house a day. We'd had it for 3 years. We'd been producing bongs in it for 3 years. Right. And so they came over, you know, 8 weeks later, full hoods, you know, kicked in the door. We were down working.
Remember what the one cop said? We come up the stairs. He's like, "Hey, Chris. Hey, Norm.
Hey, Norm, how you doing?" Yeah, you know. And we were working making bongs one day and got a hard knock on the front door. We never used the front door, so I went out there the front door and I had an AK-47 pushed in my face and told to get the fuck on the ground. And of course, they had the battering ram and they rolled right up to the front door. And I remember reaching into my pocket, telling this guy, I got the keys. Don't kick in the door. And you could just see the smile on his face, like, yeah, right. This is what I live for, motherfucker. Bam, you know. And they crushed in the door, and all my workers were inside. Norm was inside, and my two cousins that produced tubes with me, and then this girl at Sherry was there. And they shot the pit bull with a rubber bullet and
arrested a Chihuahua.
Well, at least they used a rubber bullet.
Yeah, at least they did use a rubber bullet.
Chihuahua and 2 pit bulls.
Yeah, the Chihuahua probably gave more trouble than the pit bull.
Yeah, that's
exactly right. Taking out their ankles, boy.
Yeah. So that was, you know, that kind of put the hiatus on the Invitational in '99
for 11 years.
Well, yes and no. What happened is it kind of went down like this
underground.
in respect with me. In 2009, after Obama and Holder rolled up to the podium together and said that they weren't going to prosecute in states in which it was legal anymore, me and everybody else got the message, and we all jumped in and opened dispensaries. And so I opened Altitude Wellness Center down on Hampton, Yosemite in August. And, like, you know, we're recreational. I don't give a shit what everybody says. Medical, schmedical. It's all recreational.
Fucking A.
So
Good answer.
the first thing we did, and the first priority of business for us, it was to put the BongaThon back on.
Right on.
I mean, this party had history, it had depth, it had character, and we all missed it dearly. I mean, all of us that really were involved and loved that party, man, always said, "God damn,
for
the
a
bong."
whole year.
Exactly. I mean, it was
actually a gathering of minds.
And what really amazed me the first time I went was how diverse it was, because it wasn't just young people. I thought it was going to be a bunch of 20-somethings when I got there. It was a bunch of 40s, 50s, and 60-somethings.
And there was a lot of bikers there, too.
Right.
So the party's super diverse. So in 2009, the first order of business was like, put this party back on. So we were at Harvest Cup right around Christmas or something. I can't remember when the fuck it was. They were having Harvest Cup in Mishawaka, okay? And we were up there at the bar, and we were up there with a friend, Jesse Irizarry, who owned the Healing Center up on Federal. He had been open a year before any of the other dispensaries had popped online. I mean, those guys were doing great up there. And we were up there at Harvest Cup. He had something entered, and one of his friends, Sean Honecker, was there. And so we're all at this house party, and we're having this conversation about all these radical parties we used to have and throw and have a great time. And, man, we brought up the BongaThon, you know. Man, we used to throw this great party up at South Park, you know, and have all these, you know, competitions and da-da. And Sean Honecker sitting there on the edge of the table, all of a sudden, you know, he goes, I got 180 acres near South Park. And all of a sudden, you just heard the needle fall off the record. You got what?
It is time to go. Right.
So he's like, yeah, you know, why don't you come down and check it out? And I know by Christmas, I think that was August or September, and by Christmas, we were there looking at the property. And what really amazed me was I thought Sean was taking me back to Western Safari Ranch Resort, which was where I won my first BongaThon. Right. We were within 10 miles of that property. And so the look, the feel, the smell, the terrain, it brought me right back. You know what I mean? Like, this is BongaThon. And so Sean with open arms was like, let's do it. So we teamed up with Jesse Irizarry. We did his Breeders' Bowl up there, and we pulled off the first party in the summer of 10. And what we did is I dubbed it the 25th annual, because the Silver Classic never was done.
Right.
Not only wasn't it done, but I had the trophy that I manufactured, and I had been dragging around for 11 years, man. I still had it in my possession.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm going to give this thing away. Like, we're going to put it back together, and we're going to give it away. So I didn't ask anybody's permission, okay? Back in 98, 99, there was some grumblings about Russ and those guys handing me control of the party to do it. And Chris Lopez had been in line for years, okay? He had been tied in. And I didn't want to step on anybody's toes, and I didn't want to make anybody angry, so I just was like, let Lopez have it. Mm-hmm. Lopez did do it. He unfortunately had BongaThon in his lap, you know what I mean? So in 2010, when I had the opportunity to put the party back on, I didn't ask anybody's permission, okay? I organized the party, and once I had the location organized, the date organized, the tickets ready, I picked up the phone and I got a hold of every single one of those BongaThon motherfuckers I could find, and I was like, the party's back on,
Nice.
You're all invited, it's this date, and this is when we're doing it.
And everybody was cool with that.
Dude, everybody was cool with it, with the exception of Chris Lopez. Chris Lopez finally gave us his endorsement. Mm-hmm. He's a little wish-washy, and I understand for his position and what went down. Sure. I can see. But he's always been welcome to the party. We always want to keep Chris Lopez involved and make sure that he's happy. So we invited everybody, and I was amazed at everybody showed up, man. I mean...
Old school people.
Dude, people had gone to the first BongaThon. We're there, man. And so we had like this entire fabric of all these people there that had been to the party, enjoyed the party, and then we had a whole new kind of class of people that didn't know anything about it.
Right.
And so, that was really, it was the hardest year to organize and put on and make work. But it was definitely worth it.
Right on. Well, we got to take one more break, and then we'll come back and let's talk a little bit about what BongaThon looks like now,
sure,
about the event. But you guys also have another business, nonprofit that you've been doing, and I definitely want us to talk about that and allow people to be aware because it's a pretty cool concept.
Okay.
So thanks for listening to Hemp Connoisseur Radio. We'll be right back.
Green Faith Ministry is for spiritual guidance, MMJ information, and networking combined with compassionate care on the way to enlightenment with all Green Faith sacraments. Green Faith provides charity assistance, including medical and food throughout the year. Contact them at greenfaithministry.com.
River Rock Wellness, located at 4935 York Street and on the corner of 6th and Calumet, right next to Lamar's Donuts at 990 West 6th Avenue, offers in-house, award-winning organic medical cannabis flowers, concentrates, tinctures, topicals, edibles, and raw superfoods for all patients. Prices range from $160 to $240 an ounce, with member and non-member benefits including caregiver, SSI, SSDI, vets, travelers, and sponsored programs. With brands you trust like Healthy Creations, Rare Dankness, Rock Butter, Priva, Token Daily, and more. Become a River Rock patient or renew with us today and receive a $100 ounce of choice. Offer good through April 20th, 2013.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
All right, we are back with Mark Norman Jetter from BongaThon. Man, it's such a great storied history of BongaThon, and I'm really excited that you guys are have decided to do it again and have been doing it since 2009 or 10 now.
Well, it would have been the 2010. We opened in 9, but summer of 10.
Summer of 10. And so, we talked a lot about, the history and, kind of how it went down, how you guys all got involved. So now what's different about BongaThon now than before that 10-year hiatus?
Legalization.
Well,
medical marijuana.
Yeah.
I mean, all those things that we weren't able to stand on back then, we can stand on now. And it's kind of funny when you look at medical marijuana. Medical marijuana passed in the state of Colorado in '99. Mm-hmm. In fact, it would have been November of that same year BongaThon went down. You know,
Yep.
so you could have potentially stood on a medical defense then, but of course we weren't nearly that savvy.
Right.
So, when we opened the dispensary in 9, we obviously knew that we had a leg to stand on, that we could hold a BongaThon, even if it was a medical BongaThon. You know
So
what I
was
mean?
it like red card only then?
Well, it wasn't red card only. The party's 21 and up. So if you're 21 and up, you can come to the party, period, end of story, okay? If you wanted to compete in those competitions for those first 3 medical years, you would need a red card in order to compete.
Yeah, I had to get a red card.
Mark had to get a red card.
Yeah, we worked hard on that one.
I have to laugh
Well, 'cause I
about
was
that.
voting, so I had to have mine as well.
You know,
Right.
being
never had
forced
to
to
have
get
a
a
red
red
card
card
to
just so I can
compete
come up and
You're like, oh
represent,
well,
man. You know,
okay,
shit.
guess I'll do it.
We were 14. Now I have to have a card for.
Yeah.
Best decision in my life, I might add.
You know? You're like, that works out for me. Right.
So when we resurrected BongaThon, we wanted the same feel. We wanted the same feel. We wanted the same people. We wanted that rich history that was involved. And so that was really important for me to put all that together and make sure like all that. I mean, I collected every ticket I could get my hands on. I have a copy of every ticket from every year. I think I've got every bit of T-shirt art, you know, and I put all this stuff on Facebook now so that other people can enjoy the history too,
Right.
and get back there. And I know there are people, you know, I mean, there's photographs for 35 years of BongaThon out there.
Oh, I see a coffee table book
floating
coming
around.
out of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're constantly
You
on
just
the
gotta find all
lookout.
photos. They're hard to find.
In this day and age, we're constantly on the lookout for those people that have those shoe boxes of photos because we want to get them, we want to scan them in, we want to get them in digital format and get them published. And then all those old videos. I mean, I know there's people that were rolling around on BongaThon with video cameras that caught the cops rolling in and the riot gear and the snipers and all of that stuff. So as we move along, we try to collect all that history that we can so that we can compile at one location and people can enjoy it. And in this digital era, you know, over the last 3 years, we encourage everybody that comes up to upload their photos up on the Facebook and share them. And so it's really obviously brought BongaThon into the mainstream. I mean, I know BongaThon's never had a QR code on a poster before, so we're definitely hit the internet age.
Right.
And when you explain it to anybody, the first thing out of their mouth is, I could fucking do that.
Do that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Jetter brings the party back, and I was like, I'm going to do it, dude.
Right.
He goes, you don't got a fucking chance in hell, dude. That's a fucking kid's game.
It's been 10 years and you took second place, man. Really?
Yeah, so I hadn't had a cigarette in a year or so at that point.
Oh, so you have a little more lung capacity going on
Yeah,
there too.
I started training, working out. It was like Rocky.
Right.
Dude, he would literally be on his elliptical, crush like a 16th, get on his elliptical, crush a 16th. I mean,
See, they
training.
actually do train for
Oh,
BongaThon.
see, and that's the
This
thing. It is a
21-year-old
healthy
kid.
event.
Never.
Yeah, this 21-year-old kid rolled up in there, and his
Never
loader
trained.
No.
was poking and
Life
stirring.
is training.
He trains every day.
Yeah.
He trains every
It was
day.
born.
Yeah, this 21-year-old kid comes up in there, and his loader's poking and stirring, and you can watch film on it. I mean, he's just jamming all that stuff down. And I finished right behind him, got second place, and Chris was like, wow, dude, I can't believe you did that.
very
I
impressed.
was like,
I mean, it's
we'll
been
do
10
another
years
10
and he pulled
minutes
second place
next year.
again. Good
I
job,
actually
guys.
came in fourth. I wasn't
Yep.
so bad.
No,
off. I'd
you
have been
were-
about
you-
10 seconds away from third. If
You
I'd have-
continue to amaze me, my
Right.
man.
I think
Last year was good. It was our
Just
best
wait,
time.
brother.
It was some work.
you like
No-
the George,
no offense, but this
you're
year's
like the
the
George
30th.
Foreman
I'm
of
turning-
BongaThon.
He
I'm
really
turning
is.
50. It's our
Yeah.
30th wedding
Yeah.
anniversary. It's
Yeah.
a big year for me.
He'll be 50, I'll be 48.
One suggestion: I think you should have some celebrity contestants. Michael Phelps. He would I think he might destroy it.
He has an invitation open. He just needs to contact.
I think you need to get some of the big rappers too that do all that.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Get Snoop Dogg to sit in the middle of that pit and start sucking some bongs.
So that year I won second. The next year, me and Mark went in that
Dude,
close.
It's
But
been a controversial photo finish for BongaThon, and in fact, dude, I've never ever seen any bong smoking competition coming. I mean, they were literally down to snap to snap.
And I talked shit, and I told everybody, I'm doing this in 10 minutes or less, and everybody was like, whatever, dude, it can't be done.
Quarter ounce of pot.
And me and Mark both did it in under 10 minutes.
What was your time?
9:26, 9:27, something like that.
And literally, I mean, I'm standing there, and these two guys are actually sitting next to each other. So I literally got them both in my view. Okay, and literally, I'm watching. I mean, I'm watching, and I see him snap it off. he's putting his arms in his air like he won. I declared Norm the winner, and it's still a controversial photo finish.
No, it's not.
No,
Ain't that
it's
right,
not.
Norm?
That's not disputed.
No.
Disputed by the loader.
Yeah, you know these guys here. The other half of the team gets really kind of particular about what goes on. But for us, me and Norm talked about it before, and I told him if he could pull it under 10 minutes, he could win.
It's a team sport.
You know,
It is.
It was fair enough, man.
But it blows people away because there's people that get in this and go, "Oh, I can do this. I can do this." And I mean,
They get
seriously,
about 6-1
all of a
down.
sudden they're like 3-4 bong hits into this, and
they
they're going
realize,
first place,
oh
9.5
my
minutes.
Yeah, no, it's
and they're like,
it's yeah.
dude, what the hell just happened?
It
They're
catches
like, "Are
your
you kidding me?"
attention. It's
Well,
not
and this
something
is
you
the
raise
It's not a
for.
joke.
I added an additional element to Bongathon. The first year
Trying to slow us down
well,
here.
the problem that I always have is when I've got a whole tent full of people and they're stoners, nobody's paying attention and it's loud, okay? And so you always got that guy that opens up his can of weed and starts breaking it up, okay? And like, dude, that's a no-no.
Right.
Like that's not competition, okay?
Right.
So I said, fuck it. I bought a canner. All right, a sealed canner. And now I give them a sealed 1/4-ounce can of weed and a can opener.
And it's a cannabis.
I've seen your cannons before. Those are cool.
And I'm like, here. So now they literally have to crack open the can of weed, get it on their tray, and start breaking it up and smoking,
Which
okay?
is the loader's job.
Exactly. Well, and Norm here, on a can of weed, you crushed the 10-minute mark. Now, that's a Bongathon record, man.
Right.
Holy fucking shit. That's
Wow.
It was fast too, fast.
was.
And then the next year, our friend Honecker that owns the property did it in 6 minutes and 24 seconds.
a 1/4 ounce of pot.
Second
out of
place,
the
7
can.
minutes, 7:01, right?
Correct.
And then I was
7 minutes and 1
8:24.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is less than a minute a gram.
Yes,
and
sir.
opening the can. And
And
these
that,
are clean.
yeah,
You're
I know.
talking all dudes that are 35 plus.
That's right. All right. So, hey, any of you young cats out here, you think you can unseat these guys?
Please.
I mean,
Bring it on.
let's see. Oh, we got one right.
Oh,
Chris
we got
right
one
here
here.
thinks he can do it.
Come on down.
Well, we've got different competitions now. We got the open bongathon. You bring your own eighth of weed, your own bong, and a loader. And I loaded for this girl, and she was on record to beat Mark's time, and she won the open bongathon.
Wow. This girl could
And
smoke.
so I'm probably yeah, Juliet. Yeah. Well, they've asked me to load for them, so I'm not going to compete this year, but I'm going to be a coach and a loader to try to get her to win this.
You know, so this is the thing. We've opened it up. Bongathon is the most prestigious event. Okay, I'm tied in deep with the glass community. I sit on the board of directors for the Colorado Project. I know lots of glass artists. So when we make the trophies for this party, they are nice. Right. And
$3,000 wholesale price.
They are expensive, and so the thing is that I try to get as much detail and as much art in them and as much flavor so that whoever does win these trophies is clearly worthy to have them, okay? And they don't get distributed on very many. So this year is no different. We've got some fly trophies that are coming out. I'll have images released here within like the next 2 weeks, okay? And so we have some stiff competitors, obviously, that are going to come in and play,
Right.
and that's individual bongathon. But there are additional events, okay?
Right. Now, how many slots are available for competitors?
Typically, we do 16, and that's a 1/4 pound of pot, and that's been exactly what it's been over the years, okay? However, last year, I always slayed in a couple extras because I usually have a flake or two,
Right.
okay? Well, last year, I didn't have any flakes.
Right.
I had a couple extras, so I had to add them in. So this year, we're going to expand the field to 25. So we're going to have 25 competitors in the field this year.
There's a fastest gram competition.
Yeah, so there's multiple. Now, these you can choose a specific competition. And
Yeah, you got to
what's
understand,
available.
this is strictly a party. So you
Right.
can come up and party and just watch everything go down and not participate in a thing if you want, okay?
That will be me.
And then the other events that we have, anybody can participate in, okay? And especially now with recreational marijuana, anybody 21 and older, okay? This year can come up, participate, and partake in the events, okay?
The newest one is the dab out.
Yeah, we are doing a dab out this year, which is an earwax competition.
That's going to be interesting.
Okay? We also have...
Tandem gram?
No, we're not doing tandem.
We did one, though.
We did do one. With tandem gram was where you basically sucked down a gram as fast as you could. You sucked it down, and then you had someone load and pull the bowl for you.
Load
so
it,
you
light
couldn't touch it.
All you had to do was suck on the bong, and they
gotcha.
did everything else.
Tandem gram. This year we're doing fastest gram, which is individual. Anybody step up with your gram of weed, put it on the scale. We'll verify it's gram. We'll have the bong sitting there, the competition bong. You crush down a gram as fast as you can. The 3 fastest competitors we'll put on the stage, and we'll have a gram off. Okay, it's highly entertaining.
Yes.
The second event is Team BongaThon. Okay, those are 5-member teams. You get a glass hookah, BongaThon hookah. It's really, really nice. We'll give you an ounce of weed, and basically, the only rule to Team BongaThon is there are no rules. So literally, I mean, I'll get everybody in the tent,
Smoke
and
the
I'll tell
weed.
them, whatever you brought with you, grinders, torches, whatever, you can use.
It's
But you know
all
what?
good.
You can't leave the tent to go get them. So,
you gotta
so
bring
once
it
they're
in.
in there, if they
Right.
got them, they're
Right.
good. But if they're like, oh, I'm gonna, nah, you're done, dude.
I
You're
like
right
it.
there.
I'm pushing for the relay, the medley relay. I
Well,
think that should
we
be
do
something.
I
You got a joint, you have a pipe, you have the bong,
Well,
you
this
and
is
then the entire team finishes off on the hookah.
this is the bongathon. So we do have a relay, but it's a 7-gram relay.
Right.
Okay.
And the bong is the baton.
The baton, and each person on your team, you'll have 7 members on your team, will have to crush a gram.
Gotcha.
And that's relay
Pass the
bongathon.
bong, smoke a gram.
Exactly. So we're doing that. We're doing the BHO competition, individual bongathon, fastest gram, and then the open event is open bongathon. So bring your bong, bring your 3.5 grams of weed. We'll verify it. We'll put a runner's number on you. We'll put you in the tent. We'll say go, and the first person to win open bongathon sucks down 3.5 grams through their bong. Wins.
Last year, Juliet won the first ever half bongathon,
Right
open
on.
bongathon.
Right on.
And she was on pace to beat the men on an individual if she was
Wow.
to compete in a regular. Of course, 7 grams is a lot harder than 3.5.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But what was funny is she goes, will you load for me? I'm not going to win or nothing. I just want to do it. I was like, well, wait a second.
If you don't,
I
you
was
don't
like,
ask
if
me to
I'm
load unless
I was
you're
like,
trying to win.
if I'm loading, you're winning this.
Oh, yeah, we're giving away 2 tickets.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna give away some
Yeah,
tickets.
we're going to
You
be
gotta
giving away 2 tickets for Bongathon.
Not only those good tickets, those are
$4.19
$4.19 and $4.20 right there. These
These
are
these are tickets $4.19 and tickets
and those are the 2
$14.20.
tickets.
So these are 2 very prestigious tickets, really. 2 tickets to Bongathon for the first 2 people that go on to iCannabisRadio.com and tell me the 3 names of the people that were on the show today of our Legends of Bongathon. We have Mark, Jetter, and Norm. So the first 2 people to go on each get a ticket. iCannabisRadio.com, and we'll let you know who the winners are next week.
Bongathon!
Bongathon!
So we've got to wrap up. Before we go, I do want to talk about what else you guys have been working on because Bongathon, as if that wasn't enough. You guys have another really interesting thing going on.
For me in particular, I departed altitude last July, not on good terms. So if you're currently going to altitude, come to Blue Mountains instead. Basically, what we provide is recreational cannabis in the state of Colorado. For anybody that wants to partake. And so the deal is we're a nonprofit collective. You become a member of Blue Mountains. We'll grow 6 plants of cannabis for you, and we can transfer up to an ounce of cannabis for you at any time. But our main focus really is a hash bar / flower bar services. So if you're having a private party, you're having a corporate event, you're doing a wedding,
Or you're having a bachelorette party and you want to be on a mobile dab bar. We do a party bus, mobile dab bar, all kinds of stuff.
So
Cannabis catering.
We'll come to your event. We will do it whether you need it formal or whether you need it casual. So if you need guys in tuxes, we'll bring in the bar. We'll put them in tuxes. We'll break out the dab bar. We'll have all the hash oils there. We'll have the flowers there. And
edibles if you decide you want some of those.
Yeah, and basically you'll contract out our services. We'll basically bring the flowers and the hash, and we'll share it with anybody who's at your party.
Right. Your van was actually outside of our party on 420 for Barrington Levy, and I know that was a very popular.
Oh, the party bus was out there, yeah.
Yeah, the party bus was out there. I know there was a lot of people having a very good time.
Yeah, in fact, we're doing several events down at Castleman's over the next month.
5 of them to be exact.
Yeah, we've got one coming up this Saturday, so we'll have the dab bus down in front of Castleman's, so you can just come down. Just as long as you're 21 and up, you can post up in the bus and do free dabs.
And that's
Right
dream
on
on the Dream Shuttle.
That's on the Dream Shuttle. So how can people find out where you're going to be and what locations you're going to be next? Where can they find out?
You can go to the original RockyMountainHigh.com. That's
the original
RockyMountainHigh.com.
I like it.
Or you can go to Blue Mountains, plural, Colorado.com.
Or Castleman's website.
Or Castleman's website, or Blue Mountains with a plural.com.
And we do provide catering services at all the Club 64 events. So if you're going to any of the Club 64 events, we'll be there with the Dab Bar and the Flower Bar, and we'll be happy to get you high recreationally.
Right on. Well, look, this has been a really fun show, I got to say. We're definitely going to have you guys come back on a little bit before BongaThon, just to kind of help remind people what's going on. Look, Chris is not. I think you guys are officially Chris's favorite guests that we've had on the show. And don't forget, we are giving away 2 tickets to BongaThon. Ticket 1420 and 1419.
Whoever Bubba is has been listening, and he already wrote everything down, so that's 1 ticket.
Bubba, you got 1 ticket. You need to give us your. Do we have his email address then?
No, I'll.
Which Bubba?
I don't think it's around me.
I don't think it's hell yeah.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
He's listening. Ask him if that's Bubba as in Lewis.
Is this Bubba as in Lewis?
Another champion from the BongaThon.
That's right.
I can real quick. Lab
Old
710,
70s.
Trico Shidaki, Blue Mountains, Mixed Up Creations. You can get tickets down there. Purple Haze has them. What are you doing about cancer? Always buy Colorado Cannabis. Daddy Danks, you can get tickets there. Pipes Peak down there in the Springs. I don't know if you've been in that store, but they're really great. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Culture Magazine and the Hemp Connoisseur. We want to thank them for hooking it up, too.
Right on. So we got 1 person ready. You already got a ticket, right?
Bubba,
we got a BongaThon ticket for you.
He says he wants 420, please.
Well, you get 420, man.
Of course,
you
man.
got it.
Rock on, you're first.
You're
Get
first.
your choice,
you get
brother.
your choice. You got 420. And so we still have 1 more ticket left. So the next person who does a comment on Facebook or on our on the iCannabis.com website, you got to let us know how to get a hold of you as well, and we will get that ticket out to you. So. Thanks for listening to the Hemp Connoisseur Radio today, guys. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, really.
BongaThon! I'm excited about BongaThon, man. I am. So we'll be back next week, guys. Thanks for joining us. It was a good time today. Great show. And until next time, peace, love, and hempiness.